You know him from Sleepy Hollow, Tarzan and the Lost City, and Alita Battle Angels. He is also Johnny Rico from Starship Troopers. Let's hear it for Casper Van Dien.
All right. Yeah. You know what to do. Welcome to the Roughnecks.
Yeah, Casper. You look good. You look like you haven't aged a day since '97. Looks like Rico's
painting on the wall up in the attic.
Nice. That's so awesome. Thanks for joining us today. We have folks tuning in from around the world right now. I want to shout out a couple of we have the Netherlands in the house, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Texas, Oregon, Washington, New Orleans, Queensland, Australia in the house, St. Louis, UK. We are excited to have you here. Where are you currently zooming in from, Casper?
I'm zooming in from Florida, but I have family in the Netherlands and family in Jersey and Pennsylvania and in Tennessee, and so that's awesome.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. This has been so cool. You know, we've been disconnected by this pandemic, but these virtual experiences have been able to connect everybody. So I know I speak on behalf of all the fans, just saying thank you for taking some time out of your Saturday for hanging with us. Let's bring everyone else out here. We know her from Beverly Hills 90210, Johnny Mnemonic, one of my favorite horror franchises, the Saw franchise, Star Trek Nemesis. She plays Diz. Let's hear it for Dina Meyer. Hey, Dina, how are you? Thanks for joining in. Hungary and Canada also in the house. Hungary and Canada also watching. Where are you currently zooming in from, Dina?
I'll be zooming in from the Los Angeles vicinity in California.
Very nice, very nice.
Yes, yes.
Derek's J just said, Rico's Roughnecks forever. Let's bring out one of those Roughnecks right now. From the Frighteners, Tomcats, from Dusk Till Dawn, the series, The Predator, American Horror Story, Stranger Things. He plays Ace. Let's hear it for Jake Busey. Hey. Jake was kind enough and safe enough to pull over on the side of the highway there to take this call. We didn't want him driving during the actual panel. So Jake, thank you for being here. You mentioned very briefly where you're zooming in from. Let everybody know where you're currently at.
Yeah, I'm just off the 210 freeway, somewhere between Pasadena and Big Rock, or Big Bear. Yeah. I'm currently staying in a cabin up in the woods up there, getting ready for my next show, and it takes place in 1866. And there's just a lot of sick people in LA. Not even necessarily the corona thing, but it's like that time of year where the seasons are changing, and a lot of people I know, especially those that live in my house, suddenly are coughing and sneezing and hacking, and I'm about to go on this endeavor that is well, if I'm unable, then the whole thing shuts down. So I've been really careful, quarantining in a tiny cabin in the woods with my dog. And so we had to do a little run down to the city today.
There he is.
And now we're just chilling. There's old Callie. Yeah. She's my mini Great Dane. So awesome. Yeah, we're here in the pickup truck.
Jake, LA Disney Princess says, love that period drama hair and beard, Ace. So they're loving the beard and hair. Casper and Dina, how about you? How has your quarantine been? Have either of you gone back to work at all, or what's any hobbies you've picked up? What has your experience been like over the last 6-7 months?
We actually started remodeling like before the whole pandemic happened. So I've been kind of immersed in that, which has been quite a nice distraction actually from all of it, because I'm able to just kind of go to the house and just work with my hands and build stuff. So that's what I've been doing. Work has been kind of tough right now. Yeah, a lot of productions are not happening. Some have gone on, started up, and I just heard recently that they stopped because of certain things. I don't know. I'm not there yet.
Do you have a favorite part of remodeling that has that you like building or painting or designing?
I like the building part. I like the framing gun. I really like the framing gun, which is like a really cool nail gun. I mean, it's kind of like, things with power, things that you have to, hook up to an air compressor.
Yeah, nice. I like it.
And, just cutting things on a 45 so that they fit nice and, flat, like
nice.
Groove thing.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. having a really good time. Having a really good time. I'm better at the building than the decorating, I think.
Hey, everybody's got their thing, right? Yeah, no, that's so cool. That's cool. Casper, tell us a little bit about your time over the last 6 or 7 months and sort of what you're looking forward to coming up.
I just got back from LA. I was in LA shooting a film, so I just shot my first one. I shot one with Tom DeLonge and it had Richard Kind in it. It was a lot of fun. Tom DeLonge was directing.
From Blink?
Yeah, from Blink.
Angels and Airwaves?
Yeah, he's so cool.
I know he is. I didn't know he was acting.
He's not acting. He's directing.
Oh, well, that's why I didn't know.
He wrote and directed this film, Monsters of California. It's a lot of fun, and I just got back from that. It was my first project in 8 months. So the quarantine, I had gotten back from England just as all the quarantine. I was like the last plane. They said that they were gonna block all the people from coming, but then they still were letting American citizens in, but they stopped. I was the last day, so there's a lot of people panicking that day in March, and then I hadn't worked again until like last month, where I literally just got back from that. Yeah. And that was an absolute blast. I was out there for 3.5 weeks.
Nice.
Great.
That's so cool. Well, let's get to the film. That's obviously why we're all here today. You've had such successful careers after this film as well, and so we've continued to follow you and be huge nerds. But this is a sci-fi legendary movie, and you all became sci-fi legends because of this movie. Obviously, Paul Verhoeven, genius director, Edward Neumeier, the writer. Talk a little bit about the legacy. I'm sure you've heard this question before, but at the time, it came out and nerds like me, like totally dug it. Took a while to get going. Now there's 3 live films, 2 animated films. There's talks of like new series coming out. I'd love to hear just a little bit about just sort of the legacy of the film itself.
Go ahead, Casper.
Yeah. Casper's like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
we were thrilled to be a part of it. All of us, we had so much fun. I mean, it was ridiculous. And when we first saw it, we were all just sitting in there thinking this was going to be a huge hit. And we were surprised and kind of shocked when it went over people's heads.
Yeah.
It was something that it just looked like a no-brainer. I mean, Paul Verhoeven, Ed Neumeier, who wrote it and also wrote RoboCop, and Paul also directed it. And then you had John Davison and Phil Tippett, all the same guys. So we were just thinking, this is the same satire, same sense of humor, maybe a little bit, maybe even a little bit more intense. I thought it was a great film to be a part of. I loved it. I love that it has had longevity. I wish we could do the series. I know they talked about that and they still talk about it. And last year they called me and they were asking about it. It would be a lot of fun. I think it would be prevalent today. I think it would just very relevant. It's something that we would fit in real nice with what's happening, I think.
Yeah, no, and I want to talk about that for sure.
Do you think they would find Diz in space like they found Spock and bring her back or clone her?
Absolutely. I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, you're like one of the most popular things about Starship.
And Dina, you came back in the animated movie, you know what I mean, as that kind of the spirit, if you will, not a spirit, but you know what I mean, the dream sequence,
Neil's Neil something or other, wasn't it? Casper?
Yeah, I think they could.
It was really Neil.
What?
Never mind.
Yep.
You know what I think is one of the strangest things about this movie is that I forget about the second and third one. People talk about, the first was way better than the second and third, and I mean, I don't know. It just I don't know if it's because I wasn't in the second and third one, but it just
was because you weren't in the second or third.
I think that's it.
But
it was the second one either. But
I wasn't in the second, third, or fourth. How many were there?
There's 5. Yeah, you came in 5. 5's the last one.
Oh, but 5. But that was the animated.
Yeah.
4 and 5 were the animated.
They seem to be remaking a lot of different franchises, and they're pulling things that are 30 years old, 40 years old, things that are kind of like the first one was great, but it's like just too late now to make a sequel. It's that it skipped too far of a generation. I found that there's a formula. 20 years, if you remake something in 20 years, or you do a poignant single in 20 years, it's like the perfect number, because the original generation that saw it in their early 20s now has kids that are in their teens, and they can go together and like share a memory and like oh, check this out, I love the original, and then the kid gets to see the new one, and it sort of connects people, whereas you wait 30 years, like they don't kind of land. But Starship Troopers, on the other hand, has such an underground following. There's such a cult following that I don't really understand why they haven't made like a second, like a real sequel.
A prequel.
Or even a prequel, yeah.
Where it all started before.
Right, that would be very interesting.
Right, and then we could be like the parents of our kids that are in Starship Troopers.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
See how things had changed prior to the births of the mobile infantry and or
right.
Well, it is one of the most interesting parts of the movie is the world, right? I mean, that's what we've kind of fell in love with, is that just like kind of dystopian future, very like military based government, right? Where only the citizens get to vote. But yeah, like how did we get there? What was the storyline? Yeah, before that. Big Willie B says, I grew up with this movie. The first time I watched it, the satire went right over my head. But every time I rewatch it, I pick on something new. Obviously, Paul was making a bold statement at the time. It was, it was a satire of a militaristic government, but also celebrated it at the same time. What was it like? We also have a fan. Let me see where they went. Oh, that's Nomad Actual 9047 said this movie actually made me want to join the Navy. Only killed one bug the entire time. So they actually joined the Navy because of the movie. So I don't know. What was it like sort of seeing, both sides of it throughout as it's played out? It sort of kind of pokes fun and is a parody, but then also kind of celebratory as well of that sort of militaristic lifestyle. Casper, you want to kind of kick off there since you were the head of it?
It's always been fascinating for all of us to see how it was has this movie was embraced by both the left and the right, both the Republicans and the Democrats, and both of them would claim it. People would come and say, Bush really loves this movie, and then they'd say, Clinton really loves this movie, and they had these different things that people would come, different people up in there. I was on a plane. I rode with Karl Rove. Actually, it was interesting. He was telling me how he was the hugest Starship Troopers fans, and I was just blown away. I'm sitting there just not expecting this, and then having this conversation with someone. And it's interesting because the thing that makes Ed Neumeier and Paul Verhoeven so smart is that they can create something that will get people to discuss it and people to feel like they can relate to it from their point of view, which is interesting. So you get both sides of the point of view, and it's embraced by both Greenpeace and military guys, and I think that's awesome. I think it's super. I think it's incredible when you can create something that gets people to talk, and that's the biggest problem I think we've had in a lot of political areas is people don't want to discuss anything anymore. But this movie at least got people talking and saying why it was theirs, and they could fight over it, but then they could also just love the movie, which was fun.
Yeah.
I was in Toronto at the film festival there one year, and I wound up in an elevator with Maya Angelou, and she said that her favorite part was just seeing the bugs explode and the gore and the blood.
That's awesome.
I'm kidding.
That would have been awesome.
That would have been.
Oh my God, that would have been so cool.
We're gonna clip that, Jake, and put it on, and it'll feel like a real story. That'll go.
Oh no!
No.
Oh no! Oh boy.
Dina, how about you? Any sort of reflections at the time? Any military people or non-military people reach out and as fans and just be like, "Oh, I love it because of this," or "I love it because of that"?
Oh gosh, I mean, I got a lot of fan mail. I remember from guys in the military, a lot of them, and
I bet you did.
A lot of them had said that they would have loved to have fought side by side with Dizzy. So I got that kind of stuff. I didn't hear about Bush and Clinton, and that kind of stuff, or Maya Angelou, or. But I got some cool fan mail from a lot of dudes from the military, so that was kind of nice.
Yeah, well,
that's
the movie was also pretty progressive in the sense of just the co-ed shower scene, which everybody always brings up. You know what I mean? But not because of just the sheer nudity, but because that was before the military had even sort of allowed a lot of that to kind of happen.
Or women in the military to serve on the front lines.
Yeah, which is crazy. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what was it like knowing that they were that Paul was pushing it? Yeah.
Well, but it wasn't about sex. It wasn't about gender. It was about we're soldiers. We're soldiers, and that's it. And there was no and that was why it was so important that that scene was there. Because believe me, I've discussed it with with Paul. I'm like, do we really need to do this? And it's kind of important. It's kind of an important scene.
Yeah, well, it really does show that we were just, really, my character was 01662364-5679, and not really Ace Levy. We were just numbers.
Not
we were just in
good and awesome, hot mobile infantry men with the guns and the guns and the
guns
and all the things.
Paul Varga, to kind of go back a little bit in terms of like the start of everything, Paul Varga, who's watching, wants to know, how many times did you have to try out Reed for the role before you got the part, or just, generally about the audition process for this particular film?
Well, Dina got it first, right? Dina, you were the first one.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I did. I read the script, and the audition was originally for me to read for the role of Carmen, if you can believe that. Yeah, so I had the audition and said, read for the role of Carmen. And once I read the script, I just found myself gravitating more toward the role of Dizzy. And I asked my agent if it would be okay if I went in and read for her instead of Carmen. And so they were like, yeah, give it a shot, whatever you want. So I went in and met with Paul, and it was the jump ball scene where I smacked Rico in his head, and I told him he was drifting, and it was that. Yeah,
I just don't think I could see Denise Richards doing a flip 6-3 hole on the jump ball court. I don't see it.
But anyway, that was the audition scene, and I think I went to smack the casting director, and then I kind of rushed Paul, and I kind of gave him a shoulder kind of thing, and I don't know, I guess that he just was convinced that I could play Dizzy, and so that's what happened. It was a one-shot deal, really. It was one and done.
Everyone's shouting out Dina Dizzy. Tom Durante said Casper should have picked Dizzy from day one.
Well,
people are still upset 23 years later or whatever.
I didn't write the script. I mean, it wasn't me writing it.
Rico. I think they mean Rico. Yeah, Casper, Jake, kind of auditioning for the movie, audition process for this one.
Jake, go ahead.
My experience with it really, it much like Dina, it was a one and done thing. I went in to read. I had to wait for a while, and they were seeing everybody in town. I mean, every actor I ever knew of was in the waiting room, and I guess the difference for me was that the guy who was the first assistant director on the show was roaming around the production office, and I had just worked with him on another film like 6 months prior, and so it was a great little reunion there. And he goes, "So what role are you reading for, man?" And I told him, and he goes, "Oh, cool, check this out." And he takes me back through the production office rooms, and he shows me this wall of the schedule. And there's the biggest schedule that I'd ever seen, biggest one he'd ever seen. And it was so big that in order to actually get a view of it, they had to use the entire wall to tape the pieces of paper up so that they could get a handle on the lineage of the shoot. And when he showed me, he said, "So you're reading for Ace Levy? So, okay, now look up here and now track the line." And, it's early in my career, and I'm hoping to get like a sizable role in a good movie. And when I saw that the line of my character, the days working were the entire film, I get the biggest adrenaline rush I've ever had. And when you put that on top of already being nervous in front of an audition, when they called me to go in, I was such a ball of nerves. I think I walked in the room and I just started yelling all of my dialogue.
And they were like, perfect.
So much energy.
How many days?
Yeah, just.
How many days were on the call sheet? I just remember when we started, it was like 1 out of 100. And how many days did we shoot? You remember? Casper's
Oh,
got
it
it.
was
No, I don't know how many days. I know it was 6.5 months straight.
105-day schedule.
105.
105. That's what I was thinking. I was
It
like,
was
105.
And then we did 2 weeks of
Yeah,
pickup
it was
shots.
100.
5 week over 5 months, right? 5.5.
6.5 months.
Yeah,
6.5.
yeah. I
And
mean,
then we did
it
2 weeks
feels
of pickup
like
shots.
it was a long time.
I did 2 weeks of pickup shots where I went
Right.
in and,
I think I had 5. You had more because you guys had the bug tunnels afterwards.
oh yeah, we did have the book tunnels afterwards.
Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah, that's right. But then we also had to go back and the drawing that I did of me drawing the going in for the kiss.
Oh,
I had to go do all the
yeah.
hand for that one day. I had to go in for doing these different hand shots with the guns and different days like this. I had to go in, and then after we got done and we wrapped and we had finished the 6.5 months, I went back and shot 2 more weeks where I just was doing like hands. They could have used anybody's hand at that point in time. I was like, what?
No, Rico had some beautiful hands.
No, thank
you.
It might have wound up looking like that Seinfeld episode, you know?
Yeah. I know that's so funny.
Man hands, yeah. I like it.
Oh,
Casper,
man.
Casper, tell us a little bit about your audition process and getting the role.
I walked in the audition and like Jake, I saw everybody I knew in the whole world. And somebody told me that Johnny Wahlberg had wanted the role, and I was sitting in there and I was flipped out by the amount of people. And I just was at Comic-Con 3 years ago with Nathan Fillion, and we were up in Hall H and we were promoting this thing we did, Con Man series together. And he gets up and somebody goes, "What's the one role you wish you'd gotten?" He goes, "Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I really was up for this one role and I lost out to this actor." And then he goes, "And I've always been pissed about it." And he goes, "He was up for Rico." And I was like, "No way. I didn't even know." And Dina knows Nathan, and I don't know if Jake, I don't know if you know him too, but he's a
very different Rico.
He's a great guy. He would have been amazing. I mean, he's like, I've known him for forever. But he came to the Starship Troopers premiere. I have a picture of me holding him and then him holding me at the premiere. Because we were really
poor guy, just rubbing it in his face, man. Just
I didn't even know. He didn't tell me back then.
Whatever happened to that guy?
Yeah, I mean, he's doing fine. And it's funny because in that series that he did, the Firefly series, the Starship Troopers uniforms were used. So,
that's well.
Yeah,
he at least got to wear the clothes.
The Federation, their Federation had our Federation uniforms on. So
were they altered at all?
Maybe the world's what?
Were they altered at all, or were they exactly? They took the
exact same. They were altered for the Power Rangers, but they were exact same thing. The same thing with that one movie that Gary Sinise did, like when he's an alien with Madeline Stowe. They also had our uniforms.
Those are the mobile infantry outfits.
Yeah, always. I always see them and fans point out to me sometimes.
Recycling them.
Yeah.
Jake, we lost your video for a second, so I don't know if you tapped your screen. It looks like you're still on the call, but
when I auditioned for it, I went in and I went into the office and Ed Newmeyer invited me in. I did some moves with one of his muskets. I asked him if I could pick it up because I had gone to military school, and then he made a phone call. I went out and Paul Verhoeven came out with this little soccer ball and he puts it down, looks at me, puts his foot on it, and points to me and kicks the ball at me, and he goes, "Come on!" and I kick it back to him. We kicked it back and forth. And then Alan Marshall, who was the executive producer, walks out and I kicked the ball and went right by his face, right into this, in the room that we were in, Dina and Jake might remember this. There was a filing cabinet right there. I put a dent in it. And Alan used to say to me, he used to go, "That's the dent you put in." But I almost hit him in the face. And then Paul goes, "Come on, let's do the audition." And I was all sweaty. And I was like, so I didn't have time, like as an actor, sometimes you're preparing, but I didn't have any time to prepare. I just went in, did the scene, and then that's how I got it. And
you got it because he loses.
I think so. He's a smart man. He knows how to do things to throw us off and get us into place. We also had to do a test because he had a deal where Paul Verhoeven had a deal. I mean, he got Dina Meyer. Dina Meyer was the first one cast. She's it. She was the first one cast in Starship Troopers, and everybody else was cast around her, basically. And for me, the studio had a deal where they had to do a couple of screen tests, and that was for Carmen and Rico. And so they wanted Paul to have a couple of screen tests, and he just wanted just me and Denise Richards. But they insisted that he do a couple screen tests. So we went in one day for a screen test, We get in there for the screen test, and I think they made it part of one DVD or something at one point in time. But I get in and I go, Paul, where's the other? Who am I auditioning against? And he goes, they want a couple screen tests, so I've got you and Denise. So basically, that was the couple. That was the two.
Yeah.
So I think they meant a couple guys for Rico and a couple guys for Denise, but I didn't audition against anybody for a screen test.
Maybe there's.
I remember when you were doing that.
Maybe there's one.
I was when I had been, I think I was going to a wardrobe fitting or I don't know what, but I was brand newly cast, and I was walking through the studio, and I believe it was on the stage that ultimately became the Bug Tunnel stage. And you guys were standing there face to face as if you were in a conversation, and the cameras, and I stopped and watched, and it was the most arduous process in the world. They were just switching lights and switching filters and just having you stand there. And I was like, oh,
trying to find the right filter to make you even more beautiful, both of you.
It was
a little softer lens, too pretty. I want to make the blue look blue.
It's that poster shot. That poster shot of Casper like turning and screaming. That was the hero shot right there. You know. Oh, puppies.
There's the new star.
Yeah. The fans are loving the conversation. Derek Favaro says, favorite movie of all time. Inspired me to name my barbershop after it. It's called Roughnecks Barbershop. So
all right.
lots of fans out there. You talked about the massive production schedule. One of my favorite things of Starship Troopers, and I think Jurassic Park was maybe one of the first ones to start doing this with that mix of practical effects and CGI, and Starship Troopers really just picked it off. I rewatched it again this week for this panel, and it holds up in terms of the effects, and I think it's because of those practical sets, those practical creatures mixed with the CGI. James McDonald wants to know a little bit about that, just like the special effects, and what was the hardest part of going up against these CGI bugs in this like real practical world.
The hardest part, I think the shots that Paul set up with all of us packed in the screen, where he had it was me, Casper, Jake, and 10 other people very close together shooting on Marita rifles. The fire came out, it shot out like a foot to the side and a foot and a half out to the front, right? The fire, Jake?
So
you got a little bit in your ear from yours truly in the canyon.
Well, there was a lot of times where we would just get
burns?
The backs of our necks that were exposed were it was like you were just getting peppered with hot
fire.
Yeah,
spray from the Marita. So that was kind of challenging in itself, setting up the shots. But just working opposite things that aren't there, just saying, okay, look out yonder, and there's a swarm of arachnid warriors coming this way, but it's Paul coming at you he's just running after you with a tall thing with a couple of tennis balls for reference. But you had to pretend that we saw what you guys saw in the film, which we didn't. We just saw whatever was out in the distance, which was usually.
God. I'm just, as you're saying this, and I'm remembering Paul doing that.
Yeah.
I'm also realizing that I've got a shoebox full of those high 8, little miniature camera videotapes.
Yeah.
And I've probably got 20 2-hour tapes from behind the scenes on Starship Troopers that I haven't even looked at in 20 years.
Wow.
That's gonna be unbelievable. That would be a documentary right there.
Oh my God. What's that, sweetie?
Let's have a party at your place. Host a little barbecue or make some chili, and we can watch some of the uncut footage.
Oh my God! What would be amazing is the moment where we start watching it, and we're like, holy shit, we're kids.
We were so young back then.
Yeah.
Jake, you got a whole Twitter. That's like the rewatch parties and the sort of live tweets. You know what I mean? You put one of those up and live tweet it, and people would be into it. People would be into it for sure.
Yeah. Especially the shower scene.
Behind the scenes of the shower scene.
I don't think I brought the camera in the shower.
Yeah. Where'd you hide it, Jake? Where'd you hide it?
Oh, Yeah, well, that was before you could get the small cameras.
He's like, I thought about it. It just the cameras weren't waterproof, so I didn't want to bring it in.
Right, exactly.
Casper and Jake, same question. What the hardest part about shooting up against the special effects and just all those the military scenes and running and shooting and all that kind of stuff?
Well, for me, it was the lighting. For me, the hardest part was the lights, because for any of you film buffs out there that know anything about film, we were shooting 25 ASA film and trying to make it as sharp as possible. So in order to do that, and also keep the background lit while you're seeing the foreground, you really have to light the shit out of it. I mean, so if there was 3 of us on the wall shooting at the bugs, what you really had on the other side, like right in front of us, was a camera team on a crane with a ton of plexiglass Lexan protecting them from the pepper of the guns. But then each one of us had our own 18K lamp blowing in our faces, which is like the heat of the sun and the brightness of the sun 8 feet from your face. I mean, I was
so much weight on that show.
And for anybody that's watching that has light eyes or is fair skin,
like Jake.
Jake's all of the above. But I remember Jake, do you remember that he would have us, because we were all squinting, that he would have us like put our glasses on or close our eyes and look to the sun just to get your eyes used to it. And then they'd be like, they'd just start rolling the cameras, and then you'd open your eyes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was like, it was a whole routine.
Yeah, we had a lot to deal with it. You don't normally have to deal with when you're on a shoot, but it was bright and hot.
Yeah.
Casper, you mentioned you lost a lot of weight on the film. Any specific sort of hardest moments from the whole shoot?
I mean, we had a lot, like everything.
He was working out like crazy.
I did. I worked out every day.
You worked out like crazy. You worked out in the morning, and we'd shoot 16-hour days or whatever it was, and then you'd go and work out with the stunt guys.
Yeah, well, Garrett Warren, who had broken his foot in 9 different places. And one day I'd walk by and I said, "Hey, look, what did they give you, a cheap boot?" Because his foot was all black, and he's like, "No, I have to wear." He's a size 11. He had to wear a size 14 on the other foot because it was black. He just wrapped it and was taking, I don't know, whatever he's taking to stay on. But I was like, "You got to tell him." He goes, "No, I need the job." So he ran around on a broken foot the entire time. But he's going, "We're going to go to the gym tomorrow." And I kept thinking, well, he's got a foot that's broken in 9 different places. And he and I were really good friends at this point in time. But I couldn't go and go, "I don't feel like it. I'm a little sore today." Because all I could think of was him yelling at me about his foot, going, "Shut up," because I was like, oh my God. So he and we worked out 6 days a week, and we'd have like 1 day off a week that we wouldn't work out. And then we would run around all day.
We would eat like 2 steaks at lunch.
Yeah, breakfast, steak and eggs. I was eating a lot. I'm a vegan now, but back then I was a carnivore, a complete carnivore, eating so much, and I couldn't keep up with it. I just couldn't keep the weight on. I weighed 155 on Starship Troopers, and I got all the way down to 150 by the time we were shooting in California.
All the way down, 5 pounds.
Hold on a second. You were 155 and you dropped down to 150?
Yeah, for me that's a lot. At the time, I weigh 185 right now, 190. So back then I was so skinny, but I was the skinniest I'd ever been.
You were a lean, mean Rico machine.
I was the skinniest. And the skinnier you get on camera, the bigger you look and the better you look, which is weird if you're working out.
Well, you were lean. You weren't
skinny.
You had your muscles.
Yeah. I believe cut is the word. It's defined. Definition.
I had that, but I guess I think that the hardest thing probably would be just running around between first and second unit, because sometimes we go over and they had a full unit going with Vic Armstrong. So we'd be working, we'd work so hard on first unit, and they go, "We need you just for like 15 minutes over here." They'd zoom me over there, and as soon as I get over there, they're like, "We need you back on first unit." So they'd shoot the one take, "Come back right after you can, the next take you can." So like sometimes I could sleep, and I put my helmet in position on my thing, and I could sleep on a certain spot on one of the rocks if I got tired. But other times they'd be like, "We need you on second unit to go shoot something." So I just go over there because they were doing all the stunts, but to tie me into all the stunts and everything, they had to have me over there. And then they just shot everything with me then.
The star of the movie, you know.
What?
It sucks to
think
be
it's hard.
number one or the star of a movie.
Yeah.
Every angle. Wait, I can't. I'm being quiet. I gotta go to first unit. I gotta go to second unit. I gotta go. But they need me, and I gotta take pictures.
You guys had to go to second unit too. Don't even give me that. I know the whole routine.
Not so much. Not really. No, not Mr. Number One on the call sheet. No, that's what I'm learning.
Never mind.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Yeah. What were you learning, Jake? You're about to expound on something. You said, "What I'm learning." ...
Oh, it's just I'm getting ready to do something where it's experiencing what that pull and tug is like when you're the number one person on the call sheet, and it's and then there's suddenly this response. Like, I've been waking up every night at 3 a.m. with these panic attacks because I'm realizing, like, if I fuck myself up at all, if I get sick, if I get a cold, if anything happens between now and the next day or two when we start shooting, and we've been waiting to start this movie since mid-March.
Wow.
And then of course the quarantine happened, and it pushed, and it's like, well, hopefully the quarantine will be done. And then so the date was like September 1st, and then October 1st, and then November 1st, and now, so there's been a lot of waiting. And now that it's all been finally coming together, I'm seeing that what Casper went through, what it's like when, it's like everybody needs you at the same time. And it's a big responsibility. And this is a small movie. So I to imagine what Casper would have had to go through with $125 million budget movie is, it's a lot of pressure. Now I know I had such a stick up his ass. What's that?
I was gonna segue into a very nice,
painful.
Yeah. Jake, I was going to segue into a very nice statement about how the camaraderie seemed really nice on set, but now it's clear that it was just fabricated for the movie.
Well, the only thing I'm mad about with Casper is that he left town, because we've been working out together for the past year and a half, and it was a great 2018 into 19 and almost all of 19. And then they left town, so I don't have anyone to work out with. But
we had a lot of fun.
It was a great.
I'll work out with you.
Aw, look at that.
You want to come dancing?
Oh, this is the thing I was gonna say. You're gonna make.
Oh my God, I want to see that so bad. Jake, please go. Jake, please go.
When
Jake,
the gym opens up,
please go.
And the class is back on, you'll come.
Could you imagine me knocking over all those people in her dance class?
You're so graceful.
Right. Yeah.
Dina,
thank you.
And Dina, all you have to do is bring the camera in to get revenge on Jake filming all the behind the scenes on the film.
He'll make so many new fans and friends.
I want to talk a little. I want to talk about the other cast members. There's a lot of people are talking about Clancy Brown right now. JD Smith, Digi artist. How intense was Clancy Brown? But I mean, my gosh, Rue McClanahan had a small part. Dean Norris was on the thing. Seth Gilliam, we talked beforehand. A lot of these. Gilliam, sorry. Talk a little bit about the cast and just some of your favorite, other cast members on the set shooting.
Oh, Marshall was really fun. Remember Marshall?
Marshall Bell?
Yeah.
He's awesome. Love him. I follow. Do you follow him on Twitter?
Yes. Yes.
He's amazing. He's funny as hell on Twitter. Oh my God. He's awesome. Great.
But yeah.
Who else? I really had fun with Seth Gilliam. I mean, I felt like I really connected with that dude on a serious level, and it was really a bummer that he's a New York dude, and I'm not, and we're 3,000 miles apart, so it's easy after a movie to just kind of go back to your life. And so the one thing that I'm sad about is that I felt like I became so tight with him, and Dina too, like the three of us, like Dina and Seth and I were like constantly together and constantly laughing. Yeah.
Three Musketeers.
Yeah. And I miss the fact that he just, lives in New York. And so he's another cast member that really, really got along with. And you know, I'm still really good friends with Patrick and with Denise, and I've worked with them, the two of them, more than these two jokers, unfortunately, you know. But they're great, and I just keep working with them on little shows and stuff. And
He's not here today.
Yeah, Patrick's always working. I'm still good friends with Patrick and Seth. I'm still really good friends with both of them, and you know, and every once in a while I'll talk to Michael Ironside. And
people mention Michael in the chat too.
Yeah.
I
still see him around, and I still run into him. But Ed Newmeyer, who wrote Starship Troopers, and I are really tight. I was just talking to him yesterday, actually. I mean, we talk almost every other day. He's been one of my best friends since that movie. He and I just really clicked, and I love him. And then go to Pat, and then Garrett Warren, who was the stunt guy on that, who was Jake's stunt double, is still, he's the godfather of one of my kids, and I'm the godfather to his, and yeah, so I'm still good, still tight with him.
Man, you know, you and Ed ought to start writing a series.
He did start that with good old Robert, you know, but I don't know what's going on. But Sony's dropped the ball on that. I gotta call them again. They had a change in the guard. They had a changing of the guard.
People want it. And you know, I always tell the fans, you know, the power of Twitter fingers and those online you know, petitions like goes a long way. I feel like for studios these days.
I think that the mistake with all the sequels, I mean, obviously they didn't have enough money, so they were that people were just struggling with whatever they could, and they tried to do the best they could with all of them. I wasn't in the second one, I was in the third one, but you know, they had small budgets, and I wasn't the big lead in the third one either. I was just, you know, it was like a cameo basically. The main thing for all of these things is that they missed Dina and they missed Jake. Jake should have been a part of it. I have no idea why he wasn't, and I was always miffed when they didn't include the people that survived, or even bring back somebody who died, you know, because there's especially somebody who's beloved like the Diz character was. But Ace was. But I mean, seriously, that's why in number 5, when he said he put you in, it's because he just loves that the fans love you so much, and he loved that worked, so that character. And I never understood the thing, and I've always said, why are we not having Johnny's best friend? Because you know,
next time you talk to Ed, tell him to work on a prequel.
Yeah, I should. I mean, I talked to him. I'll be talking to him either today or tomorrow. But you know, he's it's not up to him. Sony tells him who they want and stuff, and he tries to write it, and then they tell him what they don't like. I saw for Starship Troopers 3, just so you know, I saw 7 drafts of that, and there were different characters. Yeah. And then I kept bringing back different words for him and different characters, and he wrote characters out and wrote characters in, and he tried to do things, and it was at one point in time they were going to try to get Neil Patrick Harris back in. It's so surreal what they did and what they didn't do, but. Sony has they do things, because studios are very strict with how they do it. So I don't know. I think it would be amazing if they actually did it properly and paid tribute to the series and just the movie by doing a series that really tied into where you know 20 years later or whatever it is, and then we're in the Starship Troopers world we have now. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, people are blowing it up in the chat right
now.
Well,
whatever happens with it.
What are they saying?
They're saying, yes, we want a Starship Troopers retcon sequel. We talked about that. Ace could have been a ghost after Dizzy and just say, hey, still got to kick me around. We're writing things.
Yeah,
right
but
now.
You know, here I gotta say one thing to that is there's a big misconception. In like one of the last shots of the film,
we're together.
I come around the corner in the spaceship, putting my helmet on, and the voiceover guy is like, and the fight continues with soldiers like Private East Levy, and like I'm putting my helmet on and I run off screen, and then
I come right back.
We're died because they never.
We're together in that scene.
You know. Yeah, right.
We're literally together in that scene, and it's like we should have been. It's never made any sense to me. And then like he tried to do the thing with you, Dina, because it just made sense to people, and I thought it was a really cool. Because at first when he first told me he wrote you in, and I was like, how are you gonna do that? And then when he did the dream sequence, I thought, oh, that was really kind of a cool idea. So it's like you don't know what it was. I mean, it's really interesting. So there's lots of ways to do things that the fans would appreciate in a live action, I think, thing with us in it now. I mean, they could always do the reboot with young kids and do whatever they want to, but they could also do one with us as is if they wanted to. I think we'd be up for it. I mean, it's love. I know that Jake has the tattoo to prove it.
We got the real one.
You're gonna bring that out, are you?
You gotta get the gun out. But Jake actually, he's gone and done. See that poster up there of Johnny Rico? He's got the death from above. Jake's got that. And this is the Paul Verhoeven trilogy there.
Yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful set of posters.
Right now.
You know, if I felt like if I'd have done this earlier in my life, it would have been kind of cheesy. But now that I'm an old man, and this is like a part of my life, part of my history, and part of what most people recognize me for.
Welcome to the Roughnecks.
I thought, what the hell? Let's see. I'm having I need a third hand here is what I need. Hang on. I'll use the steering wheel.
James Mann is saying they could bring Xander back as a hybrid brain bug. There's a lot of good ideas flowing.
I love him. We love him.
Yeah, he is a hybrid brain bug.
He totally got his brain sucked out, like every guy.
So, if you can see.
Show us. There it is.
Oh, nice.
Go back a little.
That's from above. He got in the exact same spot, too.
Yeah, he did.
Yep. And the net is not quite done. We got to get the color popping more, but that is an arachnid warrior.
Is not operational. Please
that has the background and a drop ship and all kinds of shit. So it was actually started as a cover up. But so yeah, now I got my Starship Troopers arm.
That's so
right
awesome.
there.
That's so awesome.
Nice.
Well, there, yeah. If that doesn't tell you that there's love for the series and the cast would come back, I don't know what would. People are saying it. Gandalf Gray says you guys are badass. Starship Troopers is one of my favorite films. People are saying that's awesome. Let's do this. A direct sequel with mentors, like you guys would be the mentors for like the new recruits coming up. JD Smith.
Yeah, totally.
New class, totally. The new class type of thing. Well, this has been Casper. They want you to say, I'm from Buenos Aires, and I say kill them all. Since
I'm from Buenos Aires, and I say kill them all.
I say you're rude. That's really mean. Don't kill all the Buenos Airians. Don't kill all the Buenos Airians.
Don't kill all the Buenos Aires. We're out of time. I wanted to say thank you to all the fans for tuning in and watching and taking some time off for their Saturday. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget, if you have more questions, obviously, get those one-on-one video chats. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience to hang out with your favorite cast members. So,
yeah. Do you want to know more?
Oh yeah, would you like to know more? Because call Casper.
Well, and if you're watching this live, awesome. If you're watching a little bit later in the week, remember we have our rewatch parties on Wednesday night, Wizard World rewatch parties, where we watch our favorite clips. We bring in podcasters, we nerd out about it. Maybe there'll be a special guest appearance. I'm not going to spoil anything, but
wait, did you say No Doubt is going to do a special guest appearance?
No Doubt is going to be there. Michael Ironside said he's coming. Wow. So yeah, everybody's going to be there on that date.
Nice, I love it.
Final shout outs to the fans that are watching. Again, hundreds of people watching from around the world. Let's just go around the room one more time and then we'll wrap this up. Jake, why don't you kick things off? We'll go we'll start.
Yes. All right. I'm Big Juicy. I played Ace Levy in the movie. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake. Tina?
Hey guys, I was Dizzy. I'm so glad you were able to join us today, and I'll see you out on social media. You know what to do.
Very cool. And Casper?
Casper, Johnny Rico. Welcome to Rico's Roughnecks. Hoorah!
Hoorah! Jose Mesa says, let's kill some bugs. Give it up one more time. Let's give one more round of emojis for the Starship Troopers, for Casper Van Dien, Dina, Meyer, and Jake Busey.
Yeah! I like that name.
Jake Busey.
You can Jake. Yeah.
This is John Glover, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Lionel Luther recommends it. Have some fun. Follow your fandom.